Hello everybody, my name is John, bestpricenutrition.com. Today I'm here to answer some questions for you guys on Caralluma, specifically the Caralluma Fimbriata or Fimbriatae. There's actually over 260 species that belong to the Caralluma genus, and questions have arisen because it was on the View today, and some of the people have been bombarding us with questions, so we thought, hey, let's put out a video on it. It's been around for a little while in terms of supplements usage, and its use dates back to India and Pakistan specifically, in that it's known as famine food, Indian hudia, or emergency food, and that's because it has some appetite suppressing effects. Now, we did some research on it, and what we wanted to do was find out, okay, well, what are the mechanisms, how does it work, and does the data actually support the anecdotal evidence? So, bottom line is there's a specific ingredient there known as pregnane glycosides. Okay, these are basically, anytime you have a sugar compound bound to something that's a non-sugar compound, so to speak, it's considered a glycoside. There's some chemistry specifics in there, but for our purposes, that's what we'll work on. And that's the main ingredient that they were trying to get out of African hudia in the past, which showed a lot of promise to the point where Pfizer Pharmaceutical actually dumped a bunch of money into trying to isolate that specific compound, because it does seem to have, when you do actually eat the actual African hudia plant, have that appetite suppressing effect. But they were never able to isolate it in a high enough concentration for it to have any effect. So bottom line is this has a similar ingredient, so that's kind of drawn some interest to it. And as we said, it's known as an emergency food because it's got some anti-hyperglycemic activity to it, which basically means it's going to help from keeping, letting your blood sugar be chronically high. That would be a concern with somebody who's pre-diabetic or is, in fact, diabetic. And the real question comes down to, okay, we know this. Sometimes you hear this about these herbs that are, used in the Far East, and the question is, okay, well, when we put them to the test and we actually do some controlled studies, what does the data show? So what we did is, first of all, we found out how it's supposed to work, the mechanism of action, and specifically, it's going to inhibit some of the things that are responsible for causing you to be hungry, which starts with your hypothalamus. That sits at the base of your brain and is what's responsible for controlling, your endocrine system, amongst other things, and it kind of gives your body those signals as to whether or not you're full or you're hungry. Well, it seems to work along the same lines as Garcinia cambogia. That's another ingredient that's been out there, in that that's what it's going to do. It's going to suppress those molecules that kind of make you hungry, okay? So that's the purported effect. Now, the question is, does it work? So we did look at the pharmacological data and looked at a review of it, and then we went through some of the studies and kind of isolated the ones that made sense. And right now, the clinical trials don't show that it seems to, it doesn't support the fact that it's an appetite suppressant. Now, it's believed to be an anti-obesity agent as well, because it may have some fat-burning effects in the sense that it's going to help control blood sugar levels. That's the anti-hyperglycemia effect. Right now, though, there's not really any significant science that's actually going to support that use. Now, a lot of people do swear by it. There's a lot of anecdotal, as we said, this has been used for centuries in the Far East. The amount of research done on it, I will say, is pretty limited at this point in terms of well-controlled, placebo studies. And we haven't, so I can't really say for sure, oh, this doesn't work. I can only tell you to this point what we can show based on the data. So that's where it's at right now. It's anecdotal. The evidence, people do seem to say that when they do take it, they do have this effect. Is that placebo? Is it because of this? We don't know. So we'd like to see a research trial that's done to account for that. But as of right now, other questions we've gotten based upon that's our take at this point, is can it be taken with other stuff? Yes. It actually does through some of the clinical trials. We do know that it is generally recognized as safe. It does have GRAS certification, so we know it's safe. There's not a ton of side effects. So that much we do know from the research that's out there. What I'm more talking about is the design of the studies that are done. The design of a study can significantly affect the results and influence them. And as I said, I'd like to see something done correctly to demonstrate, hey, this does in fact, if we give each person, we start them out on the same diet for 4 weeks, and then maybe 4 weeks into the trial, we switch, some of them on placebo and some of them on the Caralluma, how do they react to it? Do their calories come down, all other things being equal, also adjust for activity level and things like that, and ideally make it a crossover trial, so we're actually studying the ingredient and the subjects. In addition to that, other questions we've gotten is who can take it? Anyone. It's likely going to be best for those who have trouble, somebody who's overweight, has trouble with hunger pains and things like that, or feels they need that extra help, or anybody who's pre-diabetic based on the anecdotal evidence. We touched on side effects. It's a non-stimulant as well, so if you wanted to take it with caffeine or some other fat burner, or take it with your coffee or something like that, there'd be no antagonistic effects, so there's nothing to worry about there. As far as how much to take, right now, based on what's recommended on the products we have one from Genesis today specifically. It's 2 capsules. Each capsule is 400 milligrams. They recommend 800 milligrams, and they're using a 10-to-1 extract. So that means it's standardized, where they used a fair amount of the Caralluma in order to get you a concentrated source. We don't know exactly how much of the active ingredient, the pregnant glycosides, are in there. Saying it's 10-to-1 is one thing, but we're not sure if it's what level is standardized for that. It seems to be that particular glycoside is pretty ubiquitous within within Caralluma Fimbriata specifically, and that's why that specific species has been isolated. So I hope that answered you guys' questions. As I said, to put a bow on it, there's some anecdotal evidence at this point. I'd like to see some more solid, well-designed research to demonstrate these effects and, in fact, show that the purported evidence is, in fact, true. Based on the anecdotal, if that's enough for you to purchase it, then, by all means, give it a shot. And if you guys have any other questions, please post them in the comment section of the video. Happy to answer them. Also, you can check us out at facebook.com/bestpricenutrition. Thank you.